Hey Proximity, welcome to your first virtual art class with me, Diana Garigliano, also known as Miss G. Here's a quick example of a super sweet art lesson that I've completed with my 5th grade students. This is actually one of my favorite projects because I get a really big variety of work from the students. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. I have a little lesson prepared. So welcome. 5th graders, it's so good to see you guys. Today, we will complete our pop art cakes that we started from last week. Do you remember these images? Pop art refers to works of art that display popular subject matter from American culture. Can anybody else see sort of a common element that's happening between all of these pieces? There's something that's very consistent with all pop art. And you're right, it's color. Color tends to be extremely vibrant and very bold. So we want to keep that in mind today as we finish up our pop art cakes because we're going to be adding a lot of color. So I don't know if you guys remember our very famous artist that helped us inspire our ideas last week. His name, if anybody can remember it, is Wayne Thiebaud. So Wayne Thiebaud is a pop artist. As you can see, his very popular subject matter includes candies like the gumball picture. We see some cakes, and sometimes he'll do ice cream treats or slices of pie. He obviously applies his paint extremely thick. It's almost like you want to lick the paint off the canvas. It looks so delicious. But in addition to calling him a pop artist, we also consider him a modern artist. Do any of you guys remember why we call him a modern artist? You are correct. He is a current artist, creating new and unique works of art that rebel against traditional styles. So we're going to use his work. We're going to continue to use his work as a source of inspiration to finish up our pop art cakes. So you will need your pop art cakes from last art class. You will also need a small piece of white scrap paper, a pencil and an eraser, scissors and glue stick, and then any coloring material of your choice. You could certainly use markers, crayons, or colored pencils. All right, so here we go. As we progress towards the completion of this project, we're going to begin with a pencil, and using your white scrap paper, as you can see in the video, guys, you're going to illustrate your own cake topper. So this could be any type of candle, but feel free to use an object like an emoji. You guys can use a piece of sports equipment to inspire your idea. If you decide to do something with numbers or letters, you might want to consider making them bubble letters, as you can see here, because we will be cutting these shapes out. So I decided to do 2 different ideas because I couldn't quite make my decision just yet, and that's totally a part of being an artist. So once I have my 2 ideas and I made my decision there, I'm going to move on while the pencil is still in my hand, and I'm going to add some directions, decorations to the vertical sides of the cakes. We don't have to add anything on the top of the cakes for this presentation because we're trying to create a very organized presentation. So feel free to keep it simple, guys. You could add some polka dots, some stripes. You could do some drips across the side of your cake. You could add little logos depending on your favorite sports team. I saw one student once do some paint splatters along the sides of their cakes. And then grab that pair of scissors and select your cake topper and start cutting it out. As soon as you're done cutting out your cake topper, you might want to take your scrap paper that's left over and go toss that into the recycling bin just to keep your area super clean. Okay, so once you're set, we'll move on to the next slide of steps. All right, guys, so here's our second slide. Obviously, we're gonna take a glue stick and you will glue your cake topper right on the top there, as you can see. You might wanna leave a little space on the tippy top to add your wick and your flame if you wanna sort of transform it into a candle. And then with your coloring materials, guys, this is sort of my favorite part because it makes the artwork truly come to life. You guys could go ahead and color in your cake topper. as you're deciding your colors, guys, you definitely might want to stick with a very specific color palette. As you can see from my presentation, I decided to use a rainbow palette. So you're going to see a lot of red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. But if you want, you could do a patriotic color palette and use red, white, and blue. If you're doing a sports theme like we talked about and football is your sport, maybe you're going to repeat the colors brown and green over and over again. And what that does is it makes the cake look more organized, a really nice presentation. So once you're done coloring in your cake, feel free to color in your plates. You can color in the table, and last but not least, the background. Now, with this presentation, you will also notice that I only picked one color for the plate, one color for the table, and last but not least, one solid color for the background. Does anybody know why for this project that might be a good decision to make? You are correct. We want to make sure that all of the attention is on the focal point, which is our pop art cake. And sometimes if you add too many details to these other areas, it can distract you from the main purpose of the artwork. So ladies and gentlemen, remember to consider the quality of your coloring. We typically are attracted to more neat, solid shapes. So try not to scribble too much. Definitely take your time. Do any of you have any questions about completing your masterpiece? And as you continue to manage your time, we definitely want to spend maybe no more than the next 25 to 30 minutes finishing up this masterpiece. All right, so I'll go ahead and stop my share here. Okay, thank you, Proximity. Thank you for this opportunity and happy creating.